In this week's drive, we see the new Williams on track, burn rubber in Ducati's backyard, take a tumble with Max and Troy, and head backwards to a new future. All this and more in this week's Drive. If all the signs are correct, China may soon have its first Formula One driver. Tung Ho Pin may be everything to everybody. Born and raised in the Netherlands to Chinese parents, he speaks 4 languages and is taking a degree in economics.
Both my parents come from Wenzhou, and I was born in Holland, that's true, and but I'm fully Chinese and I consider myself like that.
As a reward for taking the 2003 Formula BMW Asia title in Beijing's Golden Port Auto Garden, Tung became the first ever Chinese driver to test a Formula One car when Williams put him out on the Jerez circuit in Spain. His visit back to China created excitement in the local media now that Tung Ho Pin may be on the fast track to a full ride in Formula One. This hasn't been lost on the confident Tung, who seems eager to move on after capturing the BMW title.
I want to be in Formula One as soon as possible, of course, and we'll try to do everything to get closer to the Formula One. I don't think I will race again in Formula BMW Asia Series.
Tung's manager Bert Winkler says he's not surprised by all the hype around the young driver, who had a satisfactory test with Williams.
One of the other things what is really good of Ho Pin is that he is really honest to himself, but also to the other people. Everybody can make a mistake, especially in Formula One. Everybody is looking on you. Everybody knows, yeah, okay, he did that wrong, but he knows already from himself that I made a mistake, next time it will not happen again.
He's following some simple advice to avoid the pressures from the hopes of 1 billion people.
Try to stay calm and relaxed and just do your job and let's concentrate on racing.
China's entry into Formula One comes with the inaugural Shanghai Grand Prix next September. Juan Pablo Montoya is undoubtedly one of the most talented drivers in Formula One. But despite flashes of genius in his past 3 seasons, especially in qualifying, he hasn't taken the world title.
I thought it was a pretty good season. You can always ask for more. I was very pleased I managed to fight for the championship. It's a shame the things at the end didn't turn out the way we should have or could have, you can say. But still, I think the team came up really strong at the end. It's just, like they say, too little, too late.
Last year's car struggled with balance in the wet, but was the fastest on the grid with a powerful BMW engine. But winter development of the latest car is going well.
Yeah, I thought we had a good chance, but, when it started to rain, we were not strong enough in the wet, and it really showed off. We didn't have anything for them in the wet. I think it has improved over the winter so far, but still, I think we got quite a way to go to be competitive, 100%. But I think with the new car, we have a real chance.
Montoya approves of controversial rules introduced last season to overcome processional racing.
I think it made the show better, and that's the most important thing. Made qualifying more critical and the strategy count a lot into race results. So that's going to be, makes it quite interesting. Now it's $1 million question. Next year with the new rules and everything for the engine, it is going to be even more interesting because, it kind of works. 1 lap less you do in practice is an extra lap you're going to do in the race with the engine, but, at the same time you want to do some laps to be able to set up the car properly.
But 2004 will be his last season with Williams. From next year, Montoya will drive for McLaren in a 2-year deal worth a reported $10 million a year.
No, I'll be honest with you, it had nothing to do with money. It's just, I want a new challenge. I thought go from one top team to another wasn't a big risk, and I spent a few years in Williams already. Next season is going to be my 4th season. I wanted to have a change in my career, experience something new like any other job. You get to a point you want to have a new challenge, and I thought going to McLaren was going to be an interesting challenge for me.
This will double his salary, his chief complaint at Williams, where Ralf Schumacher earned twice as much. The move, unusually announced over a year ahead, is expected to see Briton David Coulthard leave the team. with Montoya partnering the talented Finn Kimi Räikkönen. The pair finished second and third to Schumacher last season. Montoya came to Formula One after a successful career in the US, where he won the kart title in 1999 with 7 wins and 7 pole positions, becoming the youngest champion in the history of the series. The next year he placed only 9th, scoring 3 wins, 7 pole positions and winning the Indianapolis 500 at his first attempt, before crossing the pond to join the Williams Formula One team. In a shake-up designed to open Formula One to new markets, the 2004 season will also see races at 2 new circuits, Bahrain on the 4th of April and Shanghai in China on the 26th of September. The season begins, though, in Melbourne, Australia on the 7th of March, where Michael Schumacher will begin his campaign for his 7th world crown in what is expected to be another dominating Ferrari. That is, of course, unless Montoya stands in his way, and no one would rule out 2004 as being his year. Williams hasn't won a Formula One title since Canadian Jacques Villeneuve won the championship in 1997, the team's longest ever losing streak. The closest they've come since are the 3rd places claimed by Montoya in both 2002 and 2003. Recently, the team unveiled their new car, the FW26, and the new design has a revolutionary twin-keeled nose. But is it up to the task of taking the title from Ferrari and the dominant Michael Schumacher, Ralph's older brother?
We try our very hardest every winter, and sometimes we think that's a good step forward for next year, but you always worry how good or how much better maybe the opposition have made their cars, and you only really know February, March, April.
The startling front profile works with a twin-keel monocoque, aiding airflow both under and over the front of the car and improving aerodynamics right through to the rear wing. Those aerodynamics are aided by narrower side pods made possible by new radiators. Williams is confident the team will be competitive in light of the sport's recent rule changes that limit teams to 1 engine per car per weekend.
To save BMW some money, all the manufacturers, we hope it will save some money, and also for the poorer teams, if you wish, at the end of the grid, have to pay for their engines. It's a major step towards decreasing the costs of Formula One, which everybody supports. It's a great technical challenge. Probably one of the biggest ones in Formula One for quite some time, and I'm pretty confident BMW will be leading the way again.
The new season kicks off in March with Ferrari's Michael Schumacher, the only man on the starting grid to have previously won the championship, and he's won it a record 6 times. That makes plenty of incentive for Juan Pablo and Ralph to make a strong start to the season. Williams had a slow start last year, but they picked up the pace, and Montoya won at Monaco in June, and Ralph won in Germany and France, and Montoya won again in August. The new car's initial runs certainly looked impressive, but the proof comes in its performance on the track. The drivers' reactions to the first tests were predictably positive.
Very good, actually. It's very early to say anything, but so far it feels very good. I thought it was going to feel a lot different from the old car, but it doesn't. So it's a very good start. I think we have a very good potential car.
But the Colombian, in his final season with the team, laughed off suggestions that driving the car is as radically different as the looks of its chassis might suggest.
I thought it was going to feel weird, but it doesn't. You don't feel anything. It's just a car. You sit down and you drive it, really. I think I got to say thanks to Williams, they've done a fantastic job with the car, and I think it's very promising.
The team spent 7 days testing the new car at Jerez. Montoya concentrated on mechanical and aero setups, and despite some initial teething problems, completed 193 laps. Ralph completed a full race simulation, the BMW engine comfortably covering 800 kilometres. The Valencia circuit in Spain was the venue as Team Ducati conducted some important testing ahead of the 2004 season. Not content just to sit on their laurels, the Italian MotoGP outfit looked determined to improve on the success of its maiden year, where all expectations were exceeded as the team brushed aside almost all the opposition.
It went pretty well and much better than our expectation. For me, I believe we could fight for the podium in the second half of the season. So we got much more than that. We got pole position, first rows, I win, podiums. The only thing, maybe, it's difficult for people to understand how we didn't. I mean, it could be better to sort out the result in a different order to be perfect, but it's good. It's much better than what we expected.
Those results included 3 pole positions, 6 podium finishes between Loris Capirossi and Troy Bayliss, and 1 stunning victory. That maiden victory by Capirossi came courtesy of a mistake by world champion Valentino Rossi when he won the Catalan Grand Prix in Barcelona in June.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, you know, because especially nobody expect this, and I win my last race in Mugello in 2000. And for sure to win again in MotoGP, especially with Ducati, is unbelievable, you know. It's like the dream for me.
Ducati are hoping that 2004 is also the stuff that dreams are made of, but the team is fully aware that their rivals are trying to be just as prepared as they will be.
I guess people expect more, and I will, obviously, myself. Doesn't matter how much pressure people put on you, or that's not going to make any difference, you know. But, you know, sometimes I ride better under pressure, so maybe it could be good for me. But I really do think next year will be better because I'll know all the tracks, I'll have some experience with this bike, and also just the paddock in general.
Ducati have kept the same lineup from 2003. Former World 125 and 250 world champion Capirossi's teammate, Troy Bayliss, is a double world superbike champion, and in his first year in MotoGP, he finished 3rd in Spain and the Netherlands to claim 6th place overall in the riders' standings. Ducati also have current world superbike champion Neil Hodgson and his teammate Ruben Zaus.
We are working hard. The bike has improved a lot, and I'm very happy. We know the 2004 season will be difficult, but we have different goals this year because we have more experience, and our objective is to be protagonists. We will see.
Capirossi finished the season in 4th place behind countryman Max Biaggi, runner-up Sete Gibernau, and the dominant champion Valentino Rossi, all of whom riding Hondas.
The race I won in Barcelona was a fantastic moment. To have won a Grand Prix in the Ducati's first season. It is even more fantastic because it was a victory by an Italian riding an Italian bike. So to have achieved this, it was almost like a dream.
The small team humiliated the bigger, more experienced factory squads from Suzuki and Kawasaki and gave the Yamaha team a wake-up call too. The 16-race season gets underway in Velkom in South Africa in April. The 28th Bologna Motor Show attracted a huge crowd to see more than 90 product previews. Motoring fans attended in droves with a total of 1,200,780 visitors, up 6.5% on last year. Interestingly, the number of female visitors rose from 13% of the total in 2002 to 18% this year, 1 woman to every 6 men. The arena was the venue for spectacular displays, with spectators packing the grandstands throughout the motor show. In the 9 days of competition, a total of 40 races, competitions and displays involved approximately 300 riders and drivers. On the 3rd day, visitors were treated to a series of supermotard races featuring MotoGP and World Superbike stars, as well as the world's top riders from the hybrid class of racing. The first race, over 20 intense laps, was won by Carlos Checa. The Spaniard, riding a Yamaha 450, finished in front of Troy Bayliss on a VOR 450 and Loris Capirossi. Max Biaggi came 6th on a Honda 450. 250 world champ Manuel Poggiali couldn't start on Aprilia's radical 77-degree V-twin 450 thanks to a broken throttle cable. This new engine is likely to be seen in many new racing Aprilias, including desert races and even motocross. In all the races there was action aplenty as riders pushed too hard, but no injuries were recorded. In the race for regular supermotard riders, things went all wrong on the last lap for the leader, Belgian Eddie Seal, who dropped his Husqvarna, handing the win to Pignotti on his Honda 450 ahead of Delapine and Seal. At the start of the second race, it was Checa leading, followed by Bayliss and Dovizioso, with Biaggi 4th, followed by Capirossi, who fell off on the 5th lap. The final order was Checa, Bayliss and Biaggi. Late in the day, Max finally managed to win a race, holding off a determined Checker and Bayliss, the Romans celebrating in the time-honoured way. The final elimination took the form of an American challenge. 2 riders square off over 2 laps. Carlos Checa lived up to his nickname, Chucker, and fell off when it counted, leaving Biaggi and Bayliss in contention for overall honours. Australian Bayliss tried too hard and nearly brought them both down, but got a lift back home.
Yeah, I think it's a great move. It's a great manufacturer, and I'm quite happy and satisfied already for 2003, and my biggest hope is for 2004, so it's a big challenge. I think I have a great chance, you know, after being a client rider for 2003, now I'm back to be like a factory rider in 2004. I think I have a big chance, so I'm looking forward. You know, Colin is a great rider. He proved his ability last year also. He's been champion at Superbike. And I think in 2004 it will be strong. But for the final, you know, I believe more Rossi and G. Bernard will be the most challenged for 2004.
Superbike chap Neil Hodgson showed off the latest version of the 999 Ducati, and he was asked about the upcoming move to MotoGP.
Probably my realistic target is to do what Troy Bayliss did this year. That's what I'm aiming for. I think some really good races and try to be consistent inside the top 10. And I'm going to treat it as a learning year and then try and build on that for the next 2 years. I know it's going to be difficult. I mean, I'm a realist and I understand how the competition is extremely strong, so it will be difficult, but racing's difficult, you know, and I'm riding a bike good now, and I believe that I'm capable of being a contender.
After a crowd-pleasing introduction, Neil did a few laps on the road-going 999 before receiving a silver plate from the Motor Show organisers in recognition of his maiden World Championship, during which he equalled Colin Edwards' record of 9 consecutive race wins. Later, he answered questions about how he has changed since he last tackled Grand Prix racing and what challenges he expected to face.
Well, now obviously I'm a lot more mature. It's 7-8 years on. I understand more about motorcycling. I'm a better motorcycle racer, so you know, now I'm going to race, not to learn. You know, and the first time I was there, I was just a young kid racing around, not really with a lot of experience, where now I know what it takes to win races and championships. So I'm going there in a determined mood, not just to play around. Thankfully now the MotoGP's 4-stroke bikes, it's now made the transition a lot easier for superbike riders like Troy, Colin Edwards, Nicky Hayden are competitive. I mean, I know Colin Edwards' season wasn't the best, but I think next year we'll see the true next year you'll see the true Colin Edwards, so it's not as difficult.
Capirossi and Bayliss returned to the track aboard Ducati Multistradas, another new model from Ducati. Despite its sport adventure or big trail bike stance, the 1-litre V-twin isn't really intended to be ridden off-road, just on every kind of surfaced road. The Multistrada has more than the thread of Ducati's sporting DNA and is an example of a new breed of sporty touring road bikes. Later, the two works riders, the darlings of Ducati fans around the globe, signed their caps and flung them into the crowd. The Ducati factory is near Bologna, and the team's racing bike, the V4 Desmo Sedici, was designed in the city itself. Elsewhere, potential customers were encouraged to try out slightly less exotic machinery. And between the on-track action, stunt riders kept the crowd entertained.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The 92X definitely embodies all the traditional Saab hallmarks. You have the advanced driving dynamics, turbocharged engines, sporty and dynamic design, hatchback versatility, and for the first time in Saab's history, you have all-wheel drive.
If you've a feeling you've seen this car somewhere before, let me give you a hint. Think Subaru. Think Impreza hatchback. The Swedish carmaker Saab is owned by General Motors, who have a very strong working alliance with Subaru, part of Fuji Heavy Industries in Japan. The new small Saab represents a blatant piece of badge engineering, altering a few bits of trim and sticking a different badge on it. It's not uncommon, and history is littered with examples ranging from the near-identical Rolls-Royce and Bentley models down to the humblest mass-produced runabouts. Saab's 92X will have gone from design approval to showroom floor in under 18 months. So they haven't had enough time to do more than modify the nose and grille, stick on different front and rear light clusters, perhaps move the ignition key to Saab's traditional spot on the console, and smarten up the interior.
I would say the uniqueness of the car for me is that it gives you a wagon-like versatility, but it doesn't look like a wagon.
Perhaps that's unique to Saab, but the rest of the world has had hatchback versatility for upwards of 30 years. The interior does look a little upmarket from the normal Subaru fare, but Saab buyers generally expect a bit more wood trim and a bit less silver plastic. Perhaps the intention is to attract a more youthful buyer to the Saab brand, hence the turbocharged engine and four-wheel drive. Proving that the car really is a rebadged Subaru, that engine is a trademark Flat 4, a design not seen before in a real Saab. Saab have built their reputation on building quirky performance cars with an underlying extremely high safety level. Interestingly, the 92X has a moonroof, a glass panel in the roof, something which Subaru resisted fitting because it might compromise the structural rigidity of the car's monocoque. An engineer's way of saying that the stiffness and strength of the car's shell would be lost, not good from a safety point of view. However, it seems things are all go, go, go over at Saab.
Saab is launching more cars in the next 2.5 years than we've launched in the previous 15 years. So we're in a very prolific period of new product introductions.
And finally, a couple in India's northern Punjab is promoting peace between India and Pakistan in a unique manner. Harbrit and his wife Krishna drive their car everywhere they go in reverse gear. The car has had some modifications, such as having headlights and a radiator built into the back and having the headlamps replaced with taillights. The duo, also known as the reverse couple, reached the northern Wagah border post, driving all the way in reverse gear from Hossainiwala border town. The car, decorated with Indian and Pakistani flags, is meant to promote peace between the neighbouring countries, and the Asian record holder for reverse driving described his mission as the need of the hour.
Asian record holder.
This is a peace mission, and I am an Asian record holder, but I felt that I had to do something for my country. So I did this reverse driving. I wanted to send a message of peace. Today the situation is such that peace is necessary, so this thing became most important for me.
Harbrit drove at a speed of 85 kilometres an hour, but he wants to perfect the art by driving at 100 kilometres an hour. The men with the impressive headgear are members of the Border Security Forces, and they seemed a little confused by this simple effort to defuse the tension between the countries. But local civilians got right behind the campaign. So, whether you're on the rise, buying a badge, or just looking for a lift, so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.